Oh, the blue sheet?
Oh, good afternoon. Welcome to the Public Works Finance, May 14th, 4 p.m. 4:30 meeting. Welcome. All right, we're going to get started with our first item, which is the approval of the minutes from April 23rd. And Brandy, you said there's something
I
you
had
wanted to
one
note.
thing that I would like to alter slightly on the section 6.
You mean correct instead of
Correct,
alter?
correct, yes.
Alter slightly.
There we go. Let's see, second to last paragraph there. The bulb outs within this grant, the last sentence, bulb outs within this grant are the northwest and southwest corners at Polk and 3rd Streets, and the northwest and southeast corners of Howard and 3rd Streets. I think that should be changed to the bulb outs within this grant include the northwest and southwest, because there are several other bulb outs that were in that grant.
Okay.
Was that your understanding?
I am
as well?
understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
That sounds fine to make that correction or addition of clarification you want to. Okay. And Lori, did you find it?
The last sentence of the second to last paragraph, section 6. The bulb outs within this grant include instead of are.
Done.
Thanks, Lori.
All right. And with that, we'll accept the minutes with those corrections? Yes?
Move to approve.
Thank you. All right. Item 2, disbursement report for April 2018. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so for expenses at month end, April 30, 2018, they totaled $2,002,481.56. Payroll is the largest expenditure at $995,680. Other than that, we really don't have any standout major expenses in the month of April. I can point out that we did purchase a new Bobcat for the Parks Department, and that came in at $43,604. And other than that, I'd like to note that we did make our final audit payment to Fresno Gage for $13,300. So our audit is completed and finished up for FY17.
I didn't even know we had a zoo, but we bought a bobcat.
Oh,
No,
But I'm ching. But I'm ching. But I'm ching. Appreciate it. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to note?
yeah, that's it. If any
And once
questions?
again, thank you for the presentation when they come down with the sheet that shows what comes from where. That's super helpful because I tried to make sense of the columns one and still don't have my accounting degree yet. So I appreciate the presentation, the way you're doing it.
Okay, great.
With that, any questions?
Nope.
I would move to approve the financial report as presented.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Close up stuff. All right, our third item, we can do it and sign at the same time. Art Walk and/or Beer Garden Resolution, Art Walk, Sidewalk Cafe Temporary Expansion Resolution.
Yes,
Jen,
thank you.
yes.
So this is our annual Art Walk event is coming up on June 15th. And we have over the past several years, with the council's authority, been hosting beer or wine gardens within Art Walk. And then also an extension to sidewalk cafes for businesses downtowns, just an expansion of those sidewalk cafes for the event. So particular to the beer and or wine garden resolution, that is via resolution, we would authorize different outfits within the city that have a beer or wine license. They're able to come in and get a catering permit, and with the proper planning, mapping, all of those requirements met, would then host beer or wine gardens throughout. Main Street is typically where we're hosting this year, as we have in the past, from, I believe it's 8th Street to 6th Street this year. So that would be the first resolution. And we've had some good success with that in the past. We haven't had any enforcement issues that have stood out at the previous events. You've seen this not only at Art Walk, but at our Vandaltown block parties as well. And so it's something that we're getting better at and has seemed to be a nice addition to our community events.
Yeah, I know Chief Fry is here, so if there were things that he wanted to add, he could, and he doesn't need to. And then the thing I was curious about was, are we having more people applying? Because I saw in here that there's a certain time period that they have to apply to make sure they get
We require that time period for application for those who want to participate, because we do need to map the area and make sure that the beer or wine garden is a proper size and meets the regulations that we have. And then also to make sure that we don't have any last minute applicants that we're trying to either get catering permits for, or we're trying to find a place for after we've laid out the event area overall. So also to allow us to process all of those and get them completed and approved, any other questions that may come up along the way, so folks know what they're looking for the event, if they're
And are there
participating.
maps now? So if somebody wanted to know if a particular vendor was at a certain location, I mean, you have it laid out. Is there any public?
We don't have a public map that we present for the event overall. It's more for planning purposes on our end, for police, fire, safety, all of those types of things. We don't have a public map of where beer or wine gardens will be located. It's an interesting idea, though.
Anybody got any questions or anything?
No, I think we should approve it, send it forward, consent agenda.
The second resolution is the sidewalk cafe extension, and that would be any business located within that event area that could expand their sidewalk cafe to the business to the north or south in this instance, that abuts their current business. So it has to be continuous. The entrances are regulated via the beer and wine licenses or liquor licenses that they have. And so that expands those cafes in some instances to 2 storefronts instead of 1, just gives the opportunity for more seating during the event.
And the reason we put them together is because you have to have one to have the other?
The 2 resolutions, actually, they're completely independent
Okay.
and should probably go under separate agenda items
Okay,
in the
that's what
future.
was confusing to me. Okay,
Yes,
so thanks.
thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, so the 2 separate resolutions. So we've accepted the first one for the beer gardens, and then this is the second one for the sidewalk cafe expansions.
Yeah, I would recommend approval of the expansion of the sidewalk cafes during the art walk.
Okay,
Thank you.
I agree.
okay. And then consent agenda for both resolutions you can do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Fourth item. That is going to be the 736 Vista Street and 822 Getaway Court Lot Line Adjustment. No, the one that we signed. Hi, Michael.
Afternoon again.
And logistics.
So before you today, we have a lot line adjustment request for Richard Burnham at 736 Vista Street and 822 Getaway Court. These are 2 contiguous parcels. You can see Vista Street here running north-south, Weymouth, Joseph's down here on the southern half of your screen. There's the White Avenue roundabout here in the southeast corner. So the 2 lots outlined in red. Looking at the zoning configuration in the area, they're in the moderate density residential, which is our R2 zoning district. We've got a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet and minimum lot width of 60 feet within this zone. So taking a look at the closer aerial view of these 2 properties, the property on Vista Street is 9,386 square feet in size, and then there's a vacant parcel behind that at 18,169 square feet in size. The proposal is to convey about 6,000 square feet from one parcel to the other in order to better recognize kind of the way the lots have developed over time. So the Vista Street address will be 16,223 square feet, and then Getaway Court will be 11,361 square feet. So those will both meet the minimum lot size, lot width of the R2 zone. And then this was the record of survey that was submitted showing the proposal essentially the same as what we have here. There is a single-family dwelling on the Vista Street address, and that will continue to meet all setback requirements of the zone. And then this lot will remain undeveloped until such time that a building is developed there. So, recommendation is approval of the lot line adjustment request to City Council with no conditions, and I'd certainly be able to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any questions?
Seems pretty straightforward. Everything meets the current standards, so I would approve it. Move it forward.
I have no questions.
Okay, so when we move this one forward, this doesn't have to be any kind of public meeting.
No.
This is just a lot line, so we can just put it on consent agenda?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, so that's, you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so consent agenda it is. Thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you for the presentation and administrative meeting, too. Yeah. This is for Internet Crimes Against Children, MOU. Chief Fry. Good afternoon.
So, the City of Moscow and the Police Department has a unique opportunity to have Eric Chernus partner with the Idaho Attorney General's office, where they would basically pay his funding and his training and equipment, so that we could then hire another person to replace him, but also have that training in place. As we know with this position, it's a lot of time, a lot of expense, and a lot of expertise that goes into it. And this would allow us to be able to have somebody come underneath him and train with him before he retires, and then we would just move that person into the Attorney General's and continually have 2 people work in that position.
I was glad to see that it was paid for. I know that that would be a concern, so you addressed that as well. Is there any other questions on this memorandum of understanding?
And just so you know, we've been selected. This wasn't something we went to them. They came to us because of Eric's expertise. And he does a lot of this stuff with the Attorney General's office now anyway. It's just now they would be paying for his salary.
And if I may, this ties in nicely with the strategic planning initiatives and the actions and strategies that the police department's taken on in trying to provide more services with existing staff, and then looking to leverage that into having more staff available to provide those services as well. So it fits nicely with what they're doing, and they've done some great data collection, as we looked at the strategic planning report a week ago, on number of crimes prosecuted, number of cases investigated. It's been, I think, a good process to have Eric with us. So.
Yeah, I noticed it went from 0 prosecutions a few years ago to a substantial number this last year, so obviously there's been some progress made in
Yeah,
ferreting out things.
And the benefit of this too is they are also a forensic computer person, so we would have 2 on staff, you know, as we get big cases. If we needed to pull Eric back over, we could do that and utilize him through other investigations as well.
So would he get called to other parts of Idaho now?
He will at times, but he goes there anyway. He already assists up in Coeur d'Alene, and he went to Boise once, and he's been to Lewiston a couple of times. So that's something that's already happened just because of how big these cases are. And we've also benefited from some of the cases we've had here locally, where they'll bring 7 or 8 investigators in, and they can wrap up in 3 hours what it would take us, 2 days to do, because they bring all those investigators to handle that. So it's a great support system for us.
One other
Please.
question. So how, is it year to year that they determine if they pay him, or is it his salary?
My understanding is once we sign the MOU, the money has been funded through the legislative branch, and that funding will just continue so long as it's funded through the state. And this is not the type of funding that's going to go away. Matter of fact, these internet crimes against children every program is growing across the nation because of the importance of it.
All right.
I think it's difficult for us to lose, so let's go ahead and advance this, yeah. And probably should, what do you think, regular agenda, just so everyone's aware of this? It's probably something that should be
That's what I was
in
thinking.
the public eye.
Accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then you can go a little more deeper in, because there was a lot of paperwork, and especially you can see how it comes down from the state, and all the delineation of what they're taking care of and what we take care of.
Yep.
And so I was thinking regular agenda too. So
Perfect.
we'll see you Monday
All right.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then the purchase agreement for the North Welcome Sign property, and you, sorry, I skipped.
Grant.
Oh, FMPP grant application, that's right, the Farmers Market Promotion Program.
Thank you. So we're bringing this application or request for this application approval in just after we've actually submitted the application, hoping for ratification of that submittal. The Farmers Market Promotion Program is a grant that is offered through the USDA, and the Farmers Market Commission and market staff or community event staff have looked at it, and specifically with the market strategic plan, noted that layout is an issue that we have been working to address, both with the current layout of the market and how we can make the most of it, and then expansion questions, and if we should expand, what does that look like? How do we maintain the integrity of the market? Those types of things. Additionally, from an operations standpoint, we've lacked a specific branding and kind of a unique message of what the market is and why the market is as special as it is, and in order to be able to convey that consistently and effectively time and again. So with the FMPP opportunity, we were able to put together a project that we hope would be funded, and we're hoping for the council's approval for that application. If not approved, we can rescind the application. Wouldn't be an issue. The total grant application is for $130,000. A significant portion is this, well, they're both significant. $70,000 for the branding project itself, also looking at doing an initial marketing campaign with that new brand once it's developed, which would allow us to really measure the effectiveness of the branding approach itself. And we're hoping to see an increase to vendor sales, an increase of attendance to the market, some real deliverable type metrics that we can say we've had an impact on. And then with the layout, as noted in the strategic plan, it's a big project to tackle. It's looking at everything from infrastructure to the available space in our current footprint, what that looks like if we should have enough vendors to grow beyond what our current footprint is, and really helping us get kind of a professional third view of what does that look like into the future for the market. Again, all the while maintaining the uniqueness and the special factors that make the market the market. We'd hate to do something to change it drastically and not knowingly, head down that road and create an issue that we didn't have before. So we are very lucky to be in the position we are with our layout, the fact that we have so many vendors interested and the market is so robust and thriving, but looking at some professional opportunities or professional opinions to help us move forward in the future. So the FMPP grant, if awarded, we would hear back, I think it's mid-June or mid-summer. It's quite a large grant. The minimum you can apply for is $50,000 up to $250,000 in this particular area that we were looking at. And that's specific to capacity building. So we'd look at bringing vendors and consumers together, increase those sales, increase activity at market, and just make the most of what we've got here in Moscow.
I felt like you had to do a lot of explaining to the commission, because right now I'm liaison to the commission, and just to make sure is there a match for the city?
Very good point. There is no match for the city. We have applied for FMPP grants in the past. The first grant in 2010 allowed us to get quite a bit of equipment, tents, and that was really kind of get the boots on the ground, bringing consumers to vendors and making those ties. They've reimagined the program a little bit since then, so it's opened it up for this opportunity. One of the things that the commission discussed was not necessarily when we expand or how we expand, but if we need to expand. And that's one of the specific points that we made in the application, that how do we know if expansion is a good, bad, ugly, what it might look like, and how those triggers may come into place so we know when it's the right time to do that. Or not. It could be the answer. So having someone else help us navigate that, we thought would be important.
Well, I thought it was really, it dovetailed with all the strategic planning, and you could see within a commission how people can, and all of the commissions do that, they get very personal with the way they feel about it, and so not necessarily understanding the objective view that this can bring, and then you have information to discuss. So I really was pleased with how you're able to describe it.
Thank you.
And I think that helped them get on board to see that in the long run, because this is a long-term thinking
Absolutely.
thing, that it would be beneficial just even to have the information.
Right.
So
It was nice to have the strategic plan to draw from to write the application as well. And so thank you to Elisa also for helping us put that together, and for the commission. And we had several members of the commission who spent a little bit extra time trying to really vet out the types of projects that we were looking at that would be a good fit. So it was a nice mix of people that came together.
yeah, very good. Well, yeah, definitely. I would like to have you on regular agenda for this because it's part of strategic planning, but I don't know what these two would like.
I have one question about whether this will allow us to explore the idea of downtown Wi-Fi as an amenity that could be added to the market that might help us with marketing and also vendor sales and?
That's, in this particular grant, I don't believe the funds would allow us to explore implementing Wi-Fi, but looking at not just Wi-Fi, but gray water, actual clean water for vendors. A lot of that infrastructure is also identified in the strategic plan, may provide us some insight as we move forward on those other projects as well.
If you
So
could
it's
use
a
this to find out,
step
to
in the right
research what it
direction.
would take to make Wi-Fi available throughout the market while it's going on, that would be probably worthwhile.
I'll have to take a peek at that. Yeah.
So you're not proposing different layouts and asking for their feedback? You're saying, here's what we do.
Here's what we have.
You give us your
How can we make
feedback.
the most of what we have? And then as our vendor base, I don't know what the answers might be. If it's vendor-based, if it's consumer, or how many people come to market, we'd like some professionals to help us look at some of those factors and when we know we need to start planning differently.
And the reason I was talking to Jen about the strategic planning is I feel like we're trying to help the commissions understand strategic planning, and this was a layer, and so it was really interesting to watch them, that ownership piece, like, is it going to get taken away from us? Do we still have a voice? So I think this will help people understand that gaining the information, we can utilize it in-house.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
That's really why I wanted you to be able to explain it on regular agenda. Do you have any?
Yeah, certainly recommend that we apply for the grant. I mean, how
It
can
already,
we,
it already
how
is.
can we lose getting $135,000 to research that situation?
Yeah, we're just going to ratify it.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Thanks. So y'all are okay with regular agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
Certainly.
okay, thanks. All right, and am I at the right one? Yes. Purchase agreement for North Welcome Sign property.
And I'll channel my inner Gary Reedner here. So we are looking at the entrance signs, and specifically, we have an easement that allows us to host an entrance sign. And we do that jointly through the city, University of Idaho, et cetera. And the north entrance sign was granted on a permanent easement, and it was granted by Gainford Mix, the owner of the property. And then recent surveys have determined the location of the sign is partially upon the easement, and the portion of the sign and the landscaping are outside of the easement area. So what we've done is contacted, it's actually Mr. Beebe and Mr. Shipley, and they've indicated they'd be willing to sell the property surrounding the entrance sign there for $4,200, and we would be able to obtain the fee title to the property at that point. So just kind of cleaning up an easement and making that the city's, and we could move forward with attending that as we do now.
Was there not some back taxes that we were reimbursing them for at some point, when we've discussed this before? Or is that included in the $4,200?
I would have to refer back. I don't know if it looks like the mayor's. got
Mr.
some
Lambert?
I'm not sure on that one. I wasn't involved in that discussion.
No, this is inclusive, Jim.
Okay.
$4,200 is it. And BB and Shipley did pay property taxes on it for a number of years. And of course, I thanked him for doing that for us because it's very kind. I was jabbing Rick because it was kind of fun to do anyway. But no, this is, it's all inclusive. That was
Perfect.
all would amount to $4,200.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Sounds like a much better option than pulling the sign out because it's not on our property.
Yeah.
And
Put a
then,
chain on it and drag it to the left.
yeah, so this one, consent agenda, I think, yes. Yes, for you?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so consent agenda for that. All right, and with that, there are no other items, and we can adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.